Hey, my name is Ava Elizabeth Palmer, and I'm writing a TV series pitch based off of an unpublished book that my history teacher wrote and let me read a couple years ago when I was in high school. This book is about a true story in his life. This is about actual life events that went on with modified names and a modified ending. I was really inspired to do this TV series about it simply because I feel like it is super inspirational and so relatable to any relationship, whether it be long distance or just a regular relationship. I feel like it is super relatable because I feel like everybody can relate to everything in a certain point of this TV series. So I feel like the audience will really like this because simply, like I said, it is super relatable, and each episode will have you hanging on for the next one and will have you longing to watch the next one just to see what happens. And so I'd basically start off by saying, the main characters are Ty and Addie. Ty is headed to Ole Miss, or he is at Ole Miss, pursuing a degree in education, and preparing to be a high school teacher and a coach. And Addie is headed to Jones County Junior College to be the head soccer coach there. And so they're both at a very successful point in their lives. They're both very well off and know what they want to do. And they basically just decide they're in this great relationship, and they just feel that they just need to break things off before they get this big 4-hour distance between them. And so they just realize that the strain that it's going to be on their relationship, so they just decide to break it off and hope for the best in the end. And so I would basically start this off by asking, have you ever been in a really long great relationship that you didn't want to end, but something stepped in and just made it where it would be a better if it just did end in that moment? If so, Ty and Addie are right in the middle of that situation. And family friends turned into high school sweethearts is the moral of their relationship. And with Ty headed to Ole Miss and Addie headed to Jones, the 4-hour strain would just be too much on their relationship. So they decided to just break it off for the time being. But we will journey through this series to see how Ty and Addie both grow in their personal lives and how they and see if they make it back together at the end. And so I would start off by saying, the title of my TV series would be Friends Don't Dance, and you will see throughout the episode explanations why it is called Friends Don't Dance. So the first episode would be called Smile at Me Always, and this will take a look into the day of the breakup. It will show Ty's side of it, and it will show how he is writing this letter to Addie, which is titled Smile at Me Always, and he is it's just an encouraging letter wanting them to stay together even through the distance. And so Ty's preparing that for Addie, but then it will show a contrasting look into Addie's life as she is preparing herself and finding the words to say for breaking it off with Ty. This episode will also cover the breakup itself, and it will show Ty going to Addie's house to give her the letter, and then it will also show Addie breaking the news to Ty, saying that she just thinks it would be better if they just ended it for the time being. So Ty just drops the letter, and this episode will end with him driving off and Addie picking up the letter titled Smile at Me Always that she keeps all through the years but never opens. And so that episode will end, and then episode 2 will pick up, and it will be called Jones County Junior College. And this episode will show a look into Addie's life at Jones. It'll show her teammates, how she's coping there, how she's adapting, how she is learning about all of her teammates, and it will just show a look into her life and her friends. It will also show that Addie is reading a book inside of this TV series called Friends Don't Dance, and it is wrote by Mr. M. Pierce, the supposedly famous author that wrote this amazing book about two people very much in love. And so Addie loves this book. So her friend realizes that he is doing a book signing very close to them, so they decide to go to the book signing. So this episode will end with them this episode will end with her friend inviting them to the book signing. Episode 3 will pick up and will be called Mr. M. Pierce, and it will pick up with Addie and her friend headed to the book signing. It will show, about all the people there, super excited to meet Mr. M. Pierce, the super famous author that wrote this super awesome romance novel. And so they're waiting in line there, and there's women everywhere, just want to meet him, want them to sign their t-shirt or sign their book. And so the women in front of them actually asked Mr. M. Pierce if he can take them out on a date. And so he actually points out that he already has plans with the lady behind them, which is Addie. And so when these two women move out of the way, Addie realizes that it is Ty using a fake name that kind of goes with his name to disguise himself as Mr. M. Pierce, but it's actually the Ty that she went to high school with and that she was in love with. And so when she realizes that, Ty invites her to coffee, and her friend, pushes her, go to coffee with him. So she decides to go to coffee with him. And so that episode will end with Ty inviting Addie to coffee. And then episode 4 will pick up and will be called Coffee and Family. And it will pick up on their coffee date, which proves to be very successful. And after the night goes on, Addie gets home and realizes that she accidentally took Ty's jacket with her. But she reaches in the pocket only to realize that Ty left his phone number in there in case something like that did happen. So she calls him up, and she knows she's going back to Jones. And so she's like, "How do I need to get your jacket back to you?" And he's like, "Don't worry about it. I'll find some way to get it." And so she takes it back to Jones with her the next day, and he actually shows up at Jones and during one of her soccer practices, and just to get his jacket back. But then he offers her a bet while she's there, and the bet was that given Addie was a previous soccer player, if she can make 5 shots in a row, then he would never have to hear from her again. But if she missed one, then she had to come to dinner at his place the following Saturday. And so long story short, Addie loses the bet, and so she has to go to his place on Saturday to have dinner with him. So she gets all dressed up for this dinner, and she's headed to his house. And when she gets there, she realizes that it's not only just them, but his family, and some of his family and some of her family, and just some of their mutual friends. So this episode will end with Addie realizing that it's not just them there, and it's all of their friends there, and they just have a really good time. So that's how that episode will end. And then it will pick up with episode 5, which is titled Wine or Soda. And it starts at the end of the family friends gathering, and it's when it's just Ty and Addie now, and he takes her out to a picnic little area that he has in his yard that he has all set up super nice for her. And so he has wine and soda ready because he doesn't know if she's picked up drinking over their time apart, and so he offers her wine at first, but she decides to accept the soda instead. So she just thought that was really funny. And so then they talk and, reminisce on all of their old memories. And then Ty confesses his feelings that he still has for Addie, and about how he has just not been able to date anyone else, and he just can't be with anyone else because it's always just been her. And so this leaves Addie feeling so confused because she feels the same way partially, but then again, she also doesn't want to hurt him again. So it just really leaves her feelings very conflicted, and it leaves his feelings conflicted because he doesn't know how she feels. So this episode will end with Addie actually leaving his house, and with both of their feelings feeling super uncertain. So then episode 6 will begin after some time has passed, and it will be called A Bar and a Song. And so this will pick up with Addie and Ty actually going out with some of Addie's friends to a bar, and Ty signs up for some karaoke, and he's up there singing, and while he's gone, Addie is being questioned by her friends, why her and Ty didn't work out, what the whole gist of it was. And so she just kind of blows off the questions. She explains to them that she just doesn't really want to hurt him anymore with the distance. And so after the night is over, it's just Ty and Addie again, and Ty actually reveals to Addie that the book that he wrote as Mr. M. Pierce about the two people in love was actually about their story. And she thought this was so crazy because this was a book that she loved and that she was super into, and she just thought it just kind of blew her mind that it was about her this whole time. And so he just confesses his feelings for her again, and she just, expresses to him that she doesn't want to hurt him again, and she just doesn't know if she deserves the love that he's trying to give her. And so it ends with Ty telling Addie that he is leaving for Venus that Friday, which would be the day of their first the day of her first soccer game that she's coaching. And so, that just kind of, leaves her really uncertain with everything because she doesn't really know how to feel with that. So it ends with Ty confessing his feelings with her and him saying that he is leaving for Venus. And so episode 7 will begin, and it will be titled Feelings, and it will be about how it will begin where the last episode ended, where Ty was confessing her feelings. Ty was confessing his feelings to Addie, and he doesn't, Addie just doesn't really know how to feel about it. And so time goes by, and Addie just can't stop thinking about it, and she can't stop thinking about it. And so then she gets to their team meeting that they're having at her house the night before their big game, and one of their team players actually asked Addie, what's going on, coach, like what's wrong. And so Addie actually confides in her player, and her player actually encourages her to tell Ty how she feels, and she just doesn't really know how to, feel about that. So this episode went with her cleaning up her house and her getting ready for their big game. And so then it would be episode 8, and which will be called The End. And so Addie wakes up to coach her first game, and she's just still feeling so uncertain about all these feelings for Ty. And so as she's getting ready to leave, she sees the letter that she picked up the night that she broke it off with Ty, called "Smile at Me Always." And so she picks it up and puts it in her pocket. And so then, as Addie gets to the game, she's telling her girls, about how they have to have their priorities in line and how all of this stuff. And then she realizes that she doesn't have her priorities in line as far as her feelings with Ty. And she figured out where her feelings truly lay. So she decides to take the letter out and read it. And so after she reads it, she tells her assistant coach that, you're going to coach the girls today. I'm going to the airport to try to catch Ty before he leaves for Venus. And so she rushes to the airport, and she finally gets Ty there, and she gets him, and she makes him read the letter out loud. And so that makes the moment 10 times more special between them. And so it basically ends with Addie asking Ty, or with Ty telling Addie, well, all this, but friends don't dance, Addie. And she was like, and then Addie just says, well, don't be my friend then. And so it kind of just ends with this big moment with Ty and Addie kissing in the airport. And then Addie decides to actually go to Venus with Ty. And so that just kind of leaves that's how the series would end. And it leaves the reader longing, not the reader, but the viewer longing for more and wanting, a sequel or another season. And so I just really think that the audience was really enjoyed this, because a lot of good shows nowadays end with endings like that leave the viewer longing for more. And so I think that this would be a super successful TV series, and I hope that y'all enjoyed this.